which we derive from things that we eat and metabolize. And for quick energy, we tend to use carbohydrates as a source of energy. And carbohydrates typically are abbreviated as CHO. We'll use that to make things a little easier. And when we metabolize carbohydrates, we can do this aerobically or anaerobically. And you've probably learned quite a bit about this when you studied biochemistry. I'm not going to go into the details of biochemistry at this point, but we'll be talking about the implications of this for physiology and from some core concepts related to this notion of supply and demand, because in order to do things aerobically, we're going to need oxygen as a big part of it. So I'm going to just indicate that way. Now, the product of aerobic metabolism, in addition to energy, is carbon dioxide and water. And we've been talking in prior sessions about how we get rid of carbon dioxide via the lungs. And anaerobic metabolism has the byproduct of lactic acid. So anaerobic metabolism is not as advantageous for the body, one, because it's less efficient in terms of how much energy we get, and secondarily, because it produces this acid, increased concentration of protons, which can be bad for the body in terms of the environment in which many of our proteins and enzymes work. So we would prefer to do aerobic metabolism whenever possible. So now the question becomes, if I am metabolizing carbohydrates, which path do I choose between this aerobic and anaerobic metabolism? And that's where we get into this question of supply and demand. And the notion here is that we have to supply oxygen, and we have a demand for oxygen to sustain aerobic metabolism. And if one of these gets out of whack, then we're going to have a problem. Anaerobic metabolism can occur because of the discrepancy between supply and demand, and that can occur because we have a normal supply of oxygen and some kind of excessive demand, or because we have some problem with a limited supply of oxygen and what I would call more normal or physiologic range demand. And in the next several videos, we'll go through the implications of these two scenarios as we try to sustain, as the body tries to sustain as much as possible, aerobic metabolism.